Every great endeavor, no matter what arena of life it occurs, they all have one thing in common: a start. There is nothing that has ever been accomplished that didn't have a start. Give me 10 minutes. 10 minutes to help you get started on the work of art that is you. It's just 10 minutes. Starts now. In 1950, two men developed a tool that initially was meant for aspiring artists, but over time has been used by non artists as well. It's the tool we have come to know as paint by numbers. At some point in our lives, we have all used paint by numbers. You remember how it works. There's an outline of a painting with numbers in it. The numbers correspond to the color of paint to be used to paint in that spot. And at the end, provided you have followed the instructions, you should have a beautiful painting to show for it. And as I was preparing for this series, A Work of Art, my mind went back to paint by numbers. As a kid, paint by numbers was just something we did for fun in art class. But I have matured and grown older, there are some revelations in that paint by numbers. The first revelation: you have to start somewhere. The great Pablo Picasso once said, "There is no such thing as abstract art. You must always start with something." In other words, you have to start somewhere. This work of art will never be completed unless you get started. And in this new year, as we are apt to do, everyone is talking about a fresh start, a new start, starting over. The key word here is start. The work of art, the masterpiece that is you, has to start somewhere. But I hear you. Mary, where do I start? Start right where you are. Don't worry about the past. There is nothing you can do to change what has already been done. Don't waste your time trying to make it right or make it up. No, at the place where you are, start. Starting requires patience. Do you know how many numbers make up the paint by numbers? How many colors you have to use? Just as painting by numbers takes time, so does the crafting of the masterpiece that is you. It isn't going to happen overnight. Crafting this masterpiece is a large undertaking. But remember, the only way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. Your work of art isn't going to be created in one stroke. Knowing where to start is important, but I know your next question. How do I start? I'm glad you asked. If you start from where you are, start focused on one habit you need to change, one goal you need to meet, one discipline you need to apply. Just one bite at a time. You don't need to take a giant step. The small steps, they all add up. The Bible tells us, despise not the day of small beginnings. That's all a start is, a small beginning. The second revelation I found was you have everything that you need. Most of us never start because we feel that we are ill equipped for the task. That type of thinking, it's a trap. Paint by numbers, it has all the tools you need to complete the painting. It comes with the canvas, it comes with the paints, it comes with the brushes, everything that you need to complete the project. And just like the paint by numbers, you have everything you need to complete the work of art, the masterpiece that is you. All that God has called us to be, He has equipped us with everything we need to carry out the calling on our lives. He has given us love, wisdom, strategies, provision, everything we need. There is no lack. You are smart enough. You are wise enough. You are enough. And what you possess, it's enough too. Only the enemy will try to convince you that you lack the one thing that will make or break your success. Don't fall for it. Have you ever received a Visa gift card as a gift? When someone gives you one of those cards, the only responsibility you have is to use it. The giver of the card, they're the one who had to pick it out, load it with money, get it activated, and give it to you. Before you were even born, a card had already been selected for you. Jesus, he loaded it with love. He loaded it with grace. He loaded it with mercy. He loaded it with joy. He loaded it with peace. He loaded it with forgiveness. He loaded our card with everything we would need to live this life. And the wonderful thing about the card that Jesus gives you is that you don't have to do anything to get it. It doesn't have to be a special occasion for him to give it to you. He gave us a card, loaded it, and activated. And all we have to do is use it. And like those other cards, the card that Jesus gives us, it's reloadable. When you run low on love, or you run low on patience, or you run low on wisdom, Jesus will reload your card. All you have to do is ask, and without question, without guilt tripping you, without condemning you, he reloads your card. But the card isn't worth much if it's never used. Just use what you have in your hand, because it's enough. George Herbert once said, "Do not wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you stand and work with whatever tools you may have at your command, and better tools will be found as you go along. When you use what you have, when you need more, God will always make sure to reload you." The third revelation, don't settle. Paint by numbers is what we call a starter kit. For aspiring artists, paint by numbers is what you use to get started, to hone your skills. But that's not the end. It's just a start. As you gain more knowledge, as their skill level increases, these aspiring artists move from the starter kit to their own canvases. They upgrade their paints and their brushes. I remember when I first learned to play golf, I had to use my father's old clubs to learn how to play. But as I got better, I purchased my first set of clubs, and they called them a starter set. It had the bare minimum of clubs that I needed to get started, but the more I improved, the more my tools improved. I bought better clubs, better balls, better gloves, better shoes. Why? Because I couldn't go to a higher level in my golf game using starter kit tools. And as you create this work of art, this masterpiece, at some point there has to be a level up. You can't stay stuck in the starter position. As you go to new levels, you need different tools. As you grow, the tools you use, they have to grow too. We were never meant to settle for the starter kit of life. We were always meant to go to higher heights and deeper depths. We were always meant to be a masterpiece. Creating the work of art that is you requires that we start somewhere. It requires that we use what we have, and it requires that we level up. Paint by numbers? It's a start. I just looked at the clock. It's been 10 minutes. Thank you for joining me today. Join me next week as we explore the masterpiece. There is no work of art without it. You can find us all over social media on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Spotify. I cannot wait to share with you not only next week, but for the year ahead. You've got time. After all, it's just 10 minutes.